Summer is almost here, along with hot weather, and sunshine comes with a new skin routine. Dr. Shefu is here to keep your skin glowing all season long. This is one thing that I am teaching my kids. If I knew then what I knew now about my skin,
right.
Oh, Dr. Shefu. So I'm teaching them at this young age.
No, that's so important, Charlie, because we get 80% of our sun damage by the time we're 18.
Wow.
So those of us that are a little bit older than 18 have had those years of sun damage, and now it's beginning to show up as premature aging, as spots, as lines, and unfortunately precancerous and skin cancers.
Yeah.
So it's
and it's becoming a bigger deal now more than ever. Melanoma and especially skin cancer.
Exactly.
Speaking of the skin, we're on the heels of summer, and with every season, everything changes. Like you get the dry, then you get the oily. So what should we be doing now to prepare for summertime?
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail right on the head, Charlie, because right now, although our season changes are not as dramatic in San Diego, there are subtle changes, right? So we've gone from the colder weather where it tends to be a much drier season to a time now where temperatures are higher and there's more humidity. So we have to think about our skincare routine and actually change it a bit. So where we've been using a lot of skincare products that were more oil-based, as we've talked in earlier segments in the wintertime, we need to switch to things that are not quite so oily, that are more water-based, that are thinner. Because what happens is if we're using the same products in the summer that we were using in the winter, we're more likely to plug up our glands and get more of these, white spots called milia that we can get on our skin, or we can see more outbreaks of acne, which oftentimes will occur to teenagers in the summer months because we're not thinking about some changes in our skincare routine.
We learned the hard way, my little guy, one of my little 400 guys that I have. We were out in the sun too much,
right.
And we ended up in the doctor's office.
Yes.
And we had a big conversation about sun exposure and things to do. That sun, Dr. Shefu.
Yes, and the problem is, Charlie, that we forget about what we've talked about on the air so often, which is sunscreens. And something simple, for example, the sun's rays are most overhead between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So during that peak time, that's when we get most of the ultraviolet radiation exposure. So it's better to prepare to go out maybe earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon when the sun is not at its peak and we're not getting as much ultraviolet radiation. But you're right, the sunscreens are the most important thing we can think about. And I think the problem with people using sunscreens is they don't put them on soon enough before they go out. You need to be on about 20 to 30 minutes before you go outside to start the sun, to put it on for it to absorb. And then you need to remember a sunscreen at least needs to be a SPF of 15 or 30 according to the American Academy of Dermatology, and you need to reapply it at least every 2 hours or more. If you're sweating a lot, you're going in and out of the water. And there are certain areas of our body where we can't use a sunscreen, eyes being one, so we need to use sunglasses. But make sure when you look at the sunglass label that it protects against both UVA and UVB. The other important thing is we need to remember our scalp. We can get skin cancers, and obviously you can't wear a sunscreen, so what do? You can wear a hat, and many of these newer hats are very tightly woven, and they actually have an SPF, a sunscreen built into them. So be a good consumer and look for something like that. And the final thing is you don't want to forget the lips. You can't put sunscreen on the lips, but you can put a lip balm, and look for a lip balm that has a good sunscreen in it, because despite the fact not only can you get the lines around the mouth, you can develop precancerous or skin cancers of the lip are very common.
Yeah. I personally, before I even start my makeup every morning, that's like the first thing I do, the moisturizer and that sunscreen. Even though I'm in the studio, I still put it on every single day.
Every day. Doesn't now right now it's drizzling a little bit when I came into the studio. Ultraviolet rays are still there. They'll penetrate through any weather, through any cloud cover. So you're right. It has to be part of your daily routine.
And also the shoulders and the arms, because we were so used to
areas of the skin. They say about a shot glass full will cover the exposed areas of ourselves and our kids.
It's important. We don't think about it, but then when it's a problem, then we're like,
why didn't I do something?
Why didn't I do something?
Right.
Dr. Shefu, always good to see you.
Good to see you too.